So the other day when we were at Stanley Mouse's exhibit at 1506 Haight Street and Roger Dean was there, you were wondering, well, what's my connection with Roger Dean? And I just found that he and Barney Bubbles both worked on I guess it's the label Vertigo, I think.
Vertigo.
And so that might be how you remember Roger Dean?
Well, they would have known each other from Motherburger or Teenburger, I'm unsure which. I can't remember what the connection was. Maybe Barney was, I don't know.
But you said Roger Dean was editor on a...
Oh, this the color supplement, the Sunday Times.
Got it, okay.
And he'd been at various things. He may have even been an art director on Town magazine after I left.
After you left London?
After
after you left Town magazine.
After I left Town magazine, yes, which was in '67. So he would have been art director in '68, '69, something like that.
Maybe something like that. And then I just found this online because I was trying to find information on your old friend Chris Higson, who you want to get in touch with. And
yes, I'm afeard. He led such a wild life. I rather think he might not still be with us.
Yeah.
Since he would have done something stupid like diving off a cliff.
Right.
Or Low River or something like that. I mean.
Yeah, and we've had no luck finding him online, no. Unfortunately.
He also worked anonymously in lieu of other artists whose style he could imitate, notably which was Dan Dare on occasions, but the entire history of the youth of Winston Churchill and his life was all done by Chris Higson. But
in illustration, or
it's an illustrated strip cartoon history of Winston Churchill. And it's very, very well done, beautifully illustrated.
And you and Barney and Chris Higson all went to school together at Twickenham?
Yeah, we're all different years. Barney was a year younger than me. Chris Higson was a year older than me, and I was...
And Barney and Chris met because Barney was walking through a tunnel and Chris was on the other side?
Well, they already knew each other,
okay.
But they didn't know that each other was in that place and time. Barney was feeling very, very despondent about something, but that wasn't unusual. And he was walking through
the tunnel?
The tunnel. I was trying to remember the name of it.
In Twickenham, or?
No, this is in the centre. This is in the city of London. There's a tunnel that goes under the Thames. It's like the Barbican Tunnel, except it's not. Anyway, Chris Higson saw Barney coming out of the tunnel looking very despondent and invited him in for a beer. Neither of them were drinkers like that, so that in itself was odd. But anyway, that's what happened. And Barney said that Chris Higson meeting him there, inviting him in for a beer, saved his life because once again he was thinking of killing himself.
He was thinking of killing himself, you said?
Yes, he was always thinking of ways of killing himself.
Oh boy.
We were out rowing one day in south of Ireland, in Galway, not Galway Bay, but anyway, and he wanted to go rowing out into the ocean where there were like 10 feet high waves and we'd have been sunk within minutes.
Oh boy.
So I just turned the boat around and rowed back home. And other various things.
Yeah. So if Chris Higson was, you said, a grade above you?
Yeah, he was in the illustrator. He was an illustrator and a very good one. Except that he failed his NDD. He was probably the only person who'd failed the NDD because he was such a rude person to the headmaster.
Really?
I think so, yeah.
Once I read, I think it was in your WordPress blog, that you thought Chris Higson was the greatest artist that you've known?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
He was really, really, really good.
Mm-hmm. But we can't find much about him online, huh?
No, I doubt you will.
Yeah.
I doubt you will. He was pre Facebook or anything
Right,
like
right.
that.
And there's just
he
not
lived, he lived such a wild life. I'm sure he must have died when he was about 41.
Wow. What was the story you were telling me just a bit ago about Barney designing something and wanted to destroy it, but you couldn't bring yourself to do it?
Oh, right, yes. Barney and I had were living close by each other. He was a Motherburger, I think it was then.
Motherburger?
And I was up the road on Bassett Road.
Motherburger was at
Motherburger was on
Portobello
Road. Yeah, it's
505 or something like that.
five. Oh yes, yeah.
How did I
Yeah,
remember
whatever
that?
the number was
Yeah.
on the street.
I'm probably
It's
wrong, but 50.
That was the place that Barney was renting 2 shop fronts there, so he knocked a doorway through a brick wall and hung curtains over it to hide the ragged bricks. He was always starting things like that and leaving them in the middle.
So he wanted you to destroy a piece of artwork that he did, right?
Oh, right, yes. So I said that I'd like to work with him on something. So he gave me a piece of his artwork that he wanted destroyed because he painted it with that in mind, that it was going to be a piece of destroyed art. But I couldn't bring myself to deface it because it was so, it was like an original painting, I'm not supposed to scratch it and scribble on it. So somebody else did. We lined the house in plastic because previously when I had been away there had been a pastry dough fight.
And where was this?
This was in Leigh Court in South Kensington in Hammersmith.
And you were living there at the time, or Barney?
Yeah, I was trying to remember the address. Avonmore Road, 1A Leigh Court, Avonmore Road. That's what it was.
Okay. Who all was living there? You and Barney, or
Barney,
were you?
my brother at one time.
Peter.
And various other people who passed through. Notably, our friend up in Oregon now, who we correspond with, the lady whose husband,
Judy Calper.
Judy Calper, yes. She in Oregon?
Washington.
Washington, yes. Washington and Oregon, they're sort of interchangeable, I think, if it was the same place.
So what was this paint party about?
So to avoid the disastrous results of the pastry fight, which sticks very closely to carpet, we lined the entire house, which was 3 bedrooms and kitchen, bathroom, sort of a big apartment. But it was all lined with plastic, so we could
Throw paint around?
do whatever we liked. We had a big party where art students from Twickenham came up to West Kensington and followed procedures laid out in this big chart that I gave to Rebecca and Mike. It'd be fun to get a copy of it sometime.
And what was this? It was a list of...
This was instructions on how to have a riot in the house.
And who created that?
Barney and myself.
Uh-huh.
They were all sent out to, they were given 15 minutes to go out and find trash in the street and bring it back and build a theater organ out of it. I mean,
neat.
That was part of it. But
Are there photos of this?
Roll and photography and all sorts of stuff.
Are there photos anywhere of this party? Were photos taken?
Yeah, I believe there are.
Uh-huh. Do you have any, or?
Yes, I think I do.
Mm-hmm.
But where I'd find them, I really don't know.
Yeah. So this was about what year?
This would have been 63 or something like that.
Uh-huh. Were you still in art school at that point?
No, I left, but I still had strong contacts with the art school, you know, even after I'd left. So, you know, I guess it was 63, something like
that. Okay. Neat. Who were some of the people that were there at the paint? Didn't the paint party have a name, or was that the name?
Yeah, the color party.
The color party.
I think it's mostly me who called it the color party. I don't know whether. I guess it was because I did a big poster, as I say, as an invitation to the pupils at Twickenham.
Oh, okay. Okay, got it.
And stuff.
Nice.
All laid out very.
I love
properly.
it. So who were some of the people who attended? You, Barney?
Yes, many of the people who attended that or were in the year below who didn't attend have written about it on my website.
On your WordPress blog?
Yeah. I can't remember any of the names at the moment, but it was
David
a whole
Wills
gang of
tells
them who
tales.
eventually ended up conversing with each other.
Was that one that Andrea Wordsworth was at? Or?
Yes, that Andrea Wordsworth would be one of them.
Okay.
Yes, and she would be able to name them.
Was your brother there, Peter?
He wasn't an art student, but he did stay for a while at, I think it must have been in '67 when I was in New York.
And this is the apartment where where you guys put up a flyer in an art studio somewhere that said people visiting can come stay with you guys.
Right,
is that the same apartment?
The place where John Lennon and Yoko Ono met, the Arts Lab. And they had a book there of places where Americans could, in effect, you see that lovely band in class.
They had
is where John and Yoko met, the Arts Lab.
And there was something that you and Barney put up that invited Americans to come stay.
Yes, and they had a book there, and so I wrote our address in as somewhere there was a crash pad for Americans arriving, so we had all sorts of people calling us up.
And that's how you met Judy Calper and her husband,
Judy Calper,
amongst many other people. And was this at A1?
A1 Leigh Court, yes.
And this is when you guys...
the A1 good guys.
You guys were the A1 good guys, yeah.
we had a band, the Erections.
Which you hated. That's funny. So the A1 good guys were you, Barney, Chris Higson, Mick Jackson?
Not really, no. This was other people. People who work with Barney at Conran Design in particular.
Oh, okay. The A1 good guys?
Yeah.
So who were they?
And I can't remember their names, but...
I know it's on your blog.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Yeah. You have a photo of yourself with them in the hallway here?
Well, I got a photograph of me with, the A1 good guys, which is Roy Burge, the other fella, me and Barney.
Yeah, that's who I was asking, who the A1 good guys were.
And that's
them. Okay,
that's them.
But so then they all worked at Conran?
Let's see. Yes, they did.
Okay, okay.
3 others. No, Burge didn't, but he was a roommate.
Okay. And an A1 good guy?
Yes.
Just trying to get all the facts straight here. It's kind of getting shuffled. Okay.
He was a little more square than the rest of us.
Okay.
I don't know how that could be translated other than that. But
yeah.
He was a bit more straight-laced.
Okay. So the A1 good guys were you, Barney Bubbles, and Roger Bowman, and
anybody else who was living or visiting
A1 Leigh Court.
And, I don't know. A1 Good Guys. No,
And Roy,
that's where it
okay.
was. And Barney did a wonderful letterhead for the A1 Good Guys that, again, I gave to
Rebecca and Mike?
Rebecca.
Yeah. Nice.
Beautiful piece of script saying A1 Good Guys.
Who else came to stay with you guys at your crash pad at A1 Leigh Court? Am I saying that right? A1 Leigh Court?
Yes, that's
okay.
right. Yes, in West Kensington. I forget the name. Peterborough. No, that's Peterborough Road was in another place. What was I remembering?
So who all stayed with you? Was that where you met? What was the guy, Hippie Jim or something?
Hippie Jim, yes. He was like our first contact with people who actually lived in Haight-Ashbury, and we met him in '67, I would guess, in August, or maybe it was '68. I don't know. But anyway, it was first-hand reporting from the streets of Haight-Ashbury in 19.
Nice.
You know, whatever. I can't remember what year it was, whether it was actually 67 or maybe it was 65.
Mm-hmm.
But he was very influential, I'm sure, in getting me to these foreign shores.
So what were some things that, am I saying that right? Hippie Jim is what you refer to him as?
Hippie Jim, yes.
Okay.
He was about 6'2", was an ex-army person, and he said that when he came in, he was holding this ball of marijuana that was wrapped up in a ball of silver foil. And when he was searched, he was strip searched when he came in, but he just dropped the silver ball and covered it with his clothes, and then got dressed afterwards, after he'd been searched.
Where did he do this at?
At London Airport.
That's funny. So he just dropped it and picked it back up?
Yeah.
That's a pro. I wonder if that would work now.
That was the first
Probably not.
weed I ever really smoked.
Because your first weed you smoked was from Kew Garden?
You know, yes, the first weed I ever smoked was from a gardener who worked at the Kew Gardens. And so this was from the herb garden, and almost certainly was leaf rather than bud.
That's funny.
But when you'd never smoked it before, you did notice a certain difference.
Was it Hippie Jim who told you what a flaming groovy was?
Yes, and apparently it was very arcane knowledge. Nobody else, not even the band, the Flaming Groovies, knew where their name came from.
The San Francisco band?
Yeah, the San Francisco band.
With Mike Wilhelm and...
Mike Wilhelm, particularly, was with them. And it comes from an evening's fun in Vietnam, sitting around a fire with a sky hook. It's something you can hang from a tree. A knotted rope of plastic with various inflammables contained between the knots, so it burnt different colors as it flared up, with much plopping and whirring of dropping plastic, which makes a noise as it falls into a saucepan below and explodes. It's very dramatic in the dark.
So you said our friend, Judy Calper, who came to stay with you at A1 Leigh Court due to the notice that was up at the arts lab. Her husband was in the...
He thought of himself as something of a writer, and he and Barney got together to try and put a story together. It didn't ever go very far, but I think it's still... I think it's in the blog somewhere. The entirety of the story that he wrote, and then Barney had a hand in writing.
And he was in one of those
Oh,
videos in the
'60s.
60s.
Experimental with LSD and soldiers.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. What do you know of that? I gotta ask Judy about that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I met one other guy who was an ex-Marine who'd been in that program. I forget the name of it now, but it's quite well known.
And her
He was
husband.
he was on acid for a year.
Jeez. Wow. And you met this guy, or?
Yeah, he was like a big 6'2", big beefy ex. He was a Marine. You don't say ex-Marine.
So how does one take LSD or acid for a year and be? I would imagine that would affect you for the rest of your life.
Well, it sent him kind of nuts. is
Well,
what it
okay,
did.
that's what I would imagine. Yeah.
Yes.
Dang.
Yeah.
Judy Calper's husband is sitting in the middle of Golden Gate Park in one of the videos that's so widely spread that people see of the 1960s
yes.
Haight-Ashbury.
Yeah, you look up Jimi Hendrix playing in the Panhandle, and you'll see Jimi Hendrix, and then it pans into the crowd and ends up focused on
Her husband smack
Her
dab in the
husband,
middle. Where were you living before you moved out to California?
in the centre of London, in Covent Garden, in an apartment that I had been living in for about 3 years, I expect. I had a really nice room at the back. It was on the third floor, on a street in a busy section of London, and it was real fun. I drilled a hole through the wall, and it was just that. There was plaster, wood, and the outside. There was no double walling there. I don't know why.
So you were able to see to the street?
Well, you could see a view over the roofs. You couldn't see
The
that.
roofs? And you did that just to look out, or to?
Yeah. I did actually go out on the roof there on occasions. I think that it was a direct access. You could get into the offices of New Musical Express, where I had friends who were working and I did work for. In fact, they were the last people I was working with before I left for San
Mill
Francisco.
Valley.
Or Mill Valley, actually, at that time.
And then 2 years later, San Francisco.
Well, yeah, I just sort of...
Wandered back and forth.
I was working in San Francisco all the time, so I felt a strong connection with it.
Yeah.
I was living over in Marin County in Druid Heights. I'd walk up the hill from the valley, Frank Valley, up the hillside and hitchhike into work, which I managed to do and get there pretty much on time for 9:30 every day.
And that was to Rolling Stone, or?
Yeah, I was working in the advertising department at Rolling Stone.
Mm-hmm.
And also the beginnings of the Hookers Ball. And eventually I stopped working at Rolling Stone and just continued for another 7 years, working pretty much year-round on the Hookers Ball.
Mm-hmm.
Posters and meetings and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.